let's dig right into it. So let's start with this, that most of the people are not achieving what they want because health-related problems are increasing. No matter how many efforts people put into it, how many health clubs are around, how many nutritionists are working at the moment, how many sport clubs and longevity offers and many other solutions. So it comes from food partially, but first of all, I dig into why. So why do we talk about this today? Well, we are a test-based company. We are not guess-based, fantasize-based, or philosophy-based. We are a test-based company, and tests show a very drastic decrease in the results in nutrition and in many fields of health. So we have performed over 1,400,000 blood tests. And they show that people actually not just feeling that they're not achieving results. The tests really show that people are not achieving results with vitamins, with omega-3s, and with other supplements. So this is a global mega trend of decrease in nutritional value of our food. So this is a huge problem, and if you are willing to fix it, if you're willing to find out what's wrong, then let's dig into that. Just before I begin, a small prehistory. Why are we facing those issues? And the reason is very simple. It's not just bad. In the reason, there is some good sides to it. As in the past, hundreds of years ago, Mother Nature was creating the food on its own. And that was not only good, because there were periods of starvation in Europe, in so-called Western societies, in the United States, and people died because of the lack of food. So Mother Nature had some of their own issues, but today we have other issues. So today, because of mass production, we have overload of food. We have too much of food. We can share it with nations that are not so fortunate. We can do charities. We can send food out, but we have problems of our own, and that's not amount of food, that's disbalance of certain ingredients. Too much of some ingredients, too little of others. Now, inside this today's food, there is three biggest problems that we are facing. Problem number three is lack of key nutrients as micronutrients, trace elements, vitamins, phytonutrients. That's a long list. It's more than 40 different substances in the food that are in deficiency in our bodies, in people's bodies. When we test people, we see that they're deficient in those micronutrients. That's problem number three. Humanity tried to solve this problem many times. And why am I saying they didn't solve the problem? I'm saying they tried to solve it because there are many multivitamin complexes that you can buy on the market. There are many companies that produce supplements and microelements and then all the supplement market. And that is not achieving the results. So that's why I'm saying humanity tried to fix it. Unfortunately, not very successfully for now. Now, problem number two, so that's even bigger problem than that today, is prebiotic fiber, because not so many people are taking care of that. There's more people who are taking multivitamins than those who are adding a prebiotic fiber to their food. So that's problem number two. But absolute winner of the problems that are in the nutrition is the fatty acids, is omega-6s and omega-3s, and we will dig a little deeper into that. So now as a company, Zinzino, we are solving, we are targeting those problems, and we are not satisfied until we test that we really solved the problem. So if the product turns out not solving the problem enough, we don't let that product to end up in our web shop. So only those products that proved test-based proved that they are really effective, that they're returning people back to the genetic norm in particular area. This is only way when those products end up in Zinzino web shop. And I have participated in several meetings in Zinzino where we were testing a new product for 3 years, a lot of money invested, a lot of time spent. And it turned out that many companies are claiming that similar products function, but all the tests showed that the product did not function. And we did not let that product to be in the web shop. We better say, let's say bye-bye to those investments and all the emotions and time, then putting a dysfunctional product in our web shop. That's our strategy, and that's our strength, and that's our long-term vision and strategy. So in long term, we are winning this way by supplying people with only functional products. So now this is a bit technical here, but if you want to make a picture of print screen, this is 10 categories of products that we have that are targeting different areas. And I will go through each of those categories. So don't worry if you don't want to make a print screen, or you can find it later on a video. But I will go through each category and dig deeper into each one of those. So first, let's begin with the tests. Now, why is it dry blood spot? Why is it capillary blood cells and cells, especially cells? Because you may get those questions like, oh, that's not serious. They're testing finger blood, and there has to be a vein blood. So we have to draw blood from the vein because capillary blood doesn't show that much. That all is fantasies. It's fantasies of people who have no clue what they're talking about. I'm sorry if I met someone, if somebody is listening about it, but let me explain why. So in cells, when you test cells in the blood, not the serum, not the liquid part of the blood, but the cells in the blood. Cells are the same. If you take the capillary blood, or if you take blood from the vein, or if you take blood from the artery, or any place you take those cells from the body, those cells are going to be the same. What differs in the blood in the vein that has less oxygen and it has more of the metabolites that are removed from the body, from the cells. In the artery blood, you will have more oxygen, less of the metabolites that are being removed from the body, and so on and on. So in capillary blood, you will find other things, but cells are the same. So when you test cells, there's no big difference. Where do you take those erythrocytes from? And the material that we are testing is erythrocytes. Now, that's why capillary blood is the best specimen, because you don't need a specialized personnel to take the blood. Anybody at home can prick their finger. There is a video, educational video, how to do that. And it's very easy. So basically, most of the people, they don't need any specialized training. They just live their lives. They have their own professions. They get those test kits shipped to their address. They prick their own fingers after watching a video. So, and it's successful testing. So this is revolution. This is revolution of testing, because now many of those people who want to test those three things, they don't need to go to a laboratory, stand or sit in a line, wait, and you know, so it's just easier, faster, it's more cost effective. It's just the future. So, and more tests will come as those tests, and more things and parameters in the body are going to be tested this way. So now here we are talking about three different tests. It's a balance test, it's a fatty acid, so different fatty acids. So if somebody of you is a doctor or a health professional, you will know that cell membranes are phospholipid bilayer. So just two layers of phospholipids. And those lipids is more than 11 different fatty acids. It's omega-6s, omega-3s, omega-9s, saturated fat, many different fatty acids. Now, based on the ratio between those fatty acids and the concentration of those fatty acids in those cell membranes, a lot of different processes in the body go the right way or the wrong way. And one of those processes is inflammation. So if your balance test shows that you have way too much of omega-6 and way too little of omega-3, that the consequence of that is that you will have too much inflammation. Your body is going to be pro-inflammatory. Now, some of you who are not medical professionals may say, what does that mean? Well, that basically means that it's not really true, but I will explain that, but you age faster. But that's not really true that you age faster. But inflammation mimics it. It kind of makes your body organs and tissues to be worn out faster. So you look like aging faster. But in fact, I could call it as a disease. That's a symptom of a disease of chronic silent inflammation in your body. So, and that's basically dying too early. 10, 20, 30, 50 years earlier than your genetic potential. And I just, there's nothing to say about it. What we need to do is to test those ratios of those fatty acids, correct them. It's already possible these days. And that's basically everything to say about it. I don't see any reason to walk on this planet with a red test, with a red blood balance test. Now, the second test is the vitamin D test. Most of the people on the planet, many are deficient in vitamin D, although some of us live in the south where there's sunshine, but we are still deficient in vitamin D. And there's no need to guess if we are, because we can test it. And HbA1c, it's a fancy name, but basically what it means is glycated hemoglobin. Now that's a fancy name also. What does that mean? That's an indirect measurement of glucose levels in the blood. What does that mean? So when your blood sugar levels, blood glucose levels are normal all of the time, then we will find in erythrocytes, we will find very little damaged hemoglobin by glucose. So glucose, when glucose levels elevate in the blood, that elevated levels of glucose penetrate to the erythrocytes, and more of hemoglobin is damaged by glucose. And that's called glycated hemoglobin. Now, that's why it's called indirect measurement of glucose levels in the blood, because we are not measuring glucose. We are measuring the molecules that were damaged by glucose. Why is it so superior against measuring blood sugar? Because blood sugar is going up and down. If you follow a specialized diet, and if you are in a risk of developing prediabetes or diabetes, and you follow a specialized diet, then your blood sugars may be normal. But you may be following that diet before you go to do the blood work, but you may not be following because a month ago was your friend's birthday and you ate a lot of cake. So on glycated hemoglobin, we will see that. We will see every time when your blood sugars were elevated, they spoiled some more of the hemoglobin, and we will see that. So any deviation from the norm, we will catch it. So that's a much more sensitive test, and it shows way earlier than glucose levels, the real situation. So these are three tests that we do today, and I could bet that we will have more because the technologies are developing and scientists are working on that so that we will have more and more tests in the future. Now, the tests are performed in an independent laboratory that is in Oslo. By the way, Danny, if you could let the people in because I can see some are in the waiting room. So the laboratory is independent, and it's in Oslo. And this laboratory, they published probably the biggest amount of innovations that laboratory can ever publish. So it's next to the Innovation Center in Oslo, next to the Clinical Hospital of Oslo, next to the University of Oslo. It's one of the most respected labs on the planet, and we are, as Zinzino, we are just their client. We have an agreement with them. We send specimens, we send blood, we get the reports. Now, the tests show tragical situation of nutrition today, and I will not go too deep into this, but most of the countries on the planet, people test bad, red. Now let's dig into the second topic, which is fatty acid balance. So what the tests show and how to fix that, right? So now the genetic ratio of omega-6s and omega-3s is 1:1, is equal. The same amount of omega-6s should be found as omega-3s in every cell of your body. Now, nobody would like to give a biopsy of your brain. Nobody would like to give a biopsy of your liver or of any other organ of your body, of your eye. But erythrocytes, when we test them, they resemble, they show, it correlates with all the other organs and systems and cells in the body. So basically, when we test balance test on the erythrocyte, we see the real situation. So now what we should be finding there, genetically pre-programmed, we should be finding the same amount of omega-3s and the same amount of omega-6s. But the situation changed. After the mass production of food started, the ratio started increasing. And the omega-6s, we find more and more omega-6 in the cells, and we find less and less omega-3s. Now, you may fantasize about good nutrition, about different supplements from one country or another, about happy fish that the supplement was produced off, and other fantasies. It's fun. It's sometimes entertaining, but that has nothing to do with the real situation in the body. The real situation is testable. So you just test the blood and you know exactly where we are. So now, if the ratio, you find that ratio is not in the normal zone, which happens to most of the people tested, 97 to 99% of the people tested. And as I told you before, it's more than 1,400,000 tests. And the rate of testing is increasing with every month. So now the probability that your test is in the red zone is almost 100%. Now, what does that mean to your body? Well, it's reduced brain function. And now, do we need brain function these days? Well, that's basically how we make money, how we live our lives with good emotions or bad emotions. it all comes from the brain. It's not so much physical work left on the planet. It's more and more brain work. So if your brain is dysfunctional because you have lack of omega-3, well, that may end up as poor poverty or poor living, poor health, poor life quality, and poor wealth. So that's not something we wish for ourselves and for our children. But there's much more problems to it. Our children, many families have hyperactive children. They are running around. You cannot stop them. They are so uncontrollably, it's just their brains are going nuts. And that's not a coincidence. That's one of the symptoms of omega-3 deficiency in the brain. Fix the omega-3 ratios and you will see what will happen with those kids. I haven't seen yet a kid who would not improve with elevated omega-3 levels. Now, what else does that mean? Well, losing memory, then early degenerative diseases of brain, then bad sleep quality. How many of us want to sleep? The way that you wake up in the morning tired. Well, that all are just symptoms of bad structure. So it's a structural component of the brain. And if you have lack of it in the erythrocyte, you will have lack of it in the brain. So basically, by measuring erythrocytes, you can measure what's going on in your brain. And if there's lack, you would better supply your brain with those ingredients. Now, as I talked before, more omega-6 and less omega-3 equals too much inflammation in the body. Now, how do we understand that inflammation is going on in the body? If there is silent chronic inflammation, you can't feel it. There's no way to feel it or even to measure it. So how do we know it exists then? If it's silent, no medical test, no clinical laboratory test will show you silent chronic inflammation. So how do we know? Well, we know by the consequences, because some patients, they were tested extensively. There were no inflammation parameters found elevated, but after they died because of cardiovascular disease, the stroke or heart attack or something, their vessels during autopsy are found to be damaged by inflammation. That's how we know it existed, just by the consequences. But do you want to be one of those? To be tested and found out that your body was eaten by chronic silent inflammation? Or would you like to live your life until your genetic age potential? Well, talking about me, I would like to live as long as my genetic lets me do that. For that reason, I want to supply my body with all the ingredients that my genetic wants in the right proportion. And I want to test it again and again and again. And I do those tests every single year, sometimes several times per year. Now, for some people, it's no longer silent chronic inflammation. It's chronic inflammation that is measurable. They have joint inflammation, they have skin inflammation, they have lesions on the skin, they have already symptoms of chronic inflammatory status. And anything that starts with anything and ends with itis, like bronchitis or rhinitis, right? Or arthritis or anything that ends with itis, that's an inflammatory state, inflammatory condition, which may be improved with a better omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, or sometimes even resolved completely. And that's not treating, that's not curing, that's not pharmaceuticals, that's not treating diseases. That's just fixing the nutritional status and returning nutrition back to the norm. And then cells start regulating the body better. Now, and for some people, there's already acute inflammation And so all of those may start with just bad omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Now, some of us are not happy about our skin because we look at our skin and it ages faster, seemingly. Like we can find people who are same age as ours, but have way better looking skin than ours. Now, one of the reasons of that is bad omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. So because then there's too much inflammation in the skin, that transfers to thinning of the skin, and then lesions of the skin, and many other issues with skin health. So, and on and on and on. The list, I could be talking just about that for the rest of the lecture, but let's go further on. Now, another thing with bad fatty acid balance. Maybe some of you have noticed that somebody says, "Oh, I tried those multivitamins and it was so good on me. I felt so much better." And another person tries multivitamins and they say, "It doesn't function. I don't feel any difference." And that might be because of the cell membrane fluidity. That's because the cells are having difficulty to absorb the nutrients and to get rid of waste. So let's say I have noticed so many times that people were deficient in iron, which transfers into the anemia. And then we did not change their food. We did not change their iron intake. We changed their balance, the fatty acid balance. And their iron was elevated in the body, finally. And no iron supplements were functioning before. So that was because the absorption of nutrients was better. So to fix the absorption of nutrients, first of all, the fatty acid balance has to be fixed. So now my first test, taking omega-3 supplements. So some of you may think now, I gonna race to the first shop or first pharmacy and buy some omega-3 supplements. And that is not what you want to do, because I was taking omega-3 supplements from the pharmacy. Just as the label says, dosing correctly, taking every day, and my test was red. Now, what is the reason for that? Why most of the supplements are dysfunctional in this category? Well, because all of the supplements of omega-3, all the fish fats are refined. They have to be cleaned from the pollutants. And during that process, during that process, the absolutely crucial ingredient is removed together with pollutants. And after that ingredient is removed, omega-3s are not very well absorbed because they are oxidized in the body. So that ingredient is antioxidants called polyphenols. Now, polyphenols is an essential nutrient to come together with omega-3s. And you cannot find omega-3s in the nature without polyphenols. You can only find omega-3s with polyphenols in the nature. The only place where you can find omega-3s without polyphenols is supplements. So, well, as you can see here, EPA is one of the most important of the omega-3s, and I had minus 74%, minus 3/4 of the most important omega-3s taking omega-3 supplements. That's how badly dysfunctional they are. Now, well, let's dig a little deeper into the nutrition. That's a pyramid of nutrition. So if you go to the, let me go back a bit here. If you go to the kindergartens and check what's the pyramid of nutrition, you will find that it's really bad, because what they recommend is carbohydrates on the top, and the carbohydrates they recommend are full of omega-6s and has zero marine omega-3s. It's bread and pastas and cereals and cakes and whatever. So, and most of us, time to time, we eat that. Zero marine omega-3s. We eat porridges and French fries And milk that was heated, that was dried into a powder, and then was recreated into a milk, which has zero marine omega-3s. So all of those products have zero marine omega-3s, zero marine omega-3s, too little marine omega-3s because those animals were fed with combined feedings for the animal that are produced from grain, corn, and soy. Here's the problem. We eat a little bit of salmon that's supposed to have enough omega-3 and supposed to have little omega-6 or no omega-6, but it had too much omega-6 and too little omega-3 because it was eating the same feeding for the animals. So now, how do we solve this? Well, we just start buying a little less of the omega-6 products, and we start buying a little more of the functional omega-3 product with polyphenols. You may be spending the same amount of money and having good balance between omega-6s and omega-3s. That's what I recommend with balanced soil. And that's the best seller is the orange lemon mint balanced soil, which is so much more than fish fat, as I explained earlier with the polyphenols. Now, well, we have premium with even higher concentration of polyphenols for those who get radiation, too much radiation, like pilots. They are exposed to X-rays because they are flying 10 kilometers above the Earth. And well, for other certain conditions when antioxidant activity is needed. Now, there's soft gels capsules for those who cannot swallow the oils. There's Aquax for those who have gallbladder removed or their bile function is reduced or pancreatic function is reduced. So sometimes we even add pancreatic enzymes to their diet for them to absorb fatty acids well. And we have vegetarian oil that is derived from algae. And this is something I'm especially proud of. That's maternity kit, especially for women who are getting ready for pregnancy and who are pregnant and breastfeeding. So it's a special kit that shows that the product is safe to use for that category and for that period of life. Now, we have many certificates. One of the one to mention is informed sports. That means that professional athletes may safely use the products because it's anti-doping tested. Now, the age category is from, as I said before, from the mother that is getting ready for pregnancy, during pregnancy, right after birth, children, elderly, and adults, everyone. It's 100% of people on the planet. Now, well, when we look at the EFSA, European Food Safety Authority, there is a lot of health claims, and we are tired of those health claims because sometimes we see a lot of products that claim the claims and it doesn't happen. But in this case, this is real. This is what I saw with my own eyes, most of what's written here. So for those who are in sports and professional sports, there's many benefits of fixing omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. So that's something to really consider. Well, I would say not to consider. It's something to fix. So we have a long list of professional athletes, national athletes, and Olympic athletes that are balancing their fatty acids. And there is plenty of scientific studies. I just need to warn you about the scientific studies. If the study says nothing about omega-6, omega-3 testing in the cells, or nothing about antioxidants, in my case, it goes right into the trash can. I don't read scientific studies that have no clue what they're talking about. They're using some omega-3 supplements without testing the effects. I'm sorry, but that's not a good read. So, well, my second test was not yet good, But later on, I got more serious because I was experiencing a lot of results in my body. And I was very happy to see the results in my case, in my family cases, and now in thousands and thousands of people around the world. So now let's go to the number 3. That's a prebiotic fiber. Now, what does that mean? Well, fibers are different. There is fibers that are not prebiotic. Like if you eat an apple, basically what you're getting some fiber, but that's not prebiotic. That's going to be lignin and cellulose. And it helps a bit. It may clean your intestines a little bit, but what you really need in the diet is a prebiotic fiber. That's the fiber that your good bacteria in the large intestine are eating. That's their food. So now with this blend of 8 different prebiotic fibers, I haven't seen any other product on the market that would have all 8 different prebiotic fibers. With this one, you can be fixing the prebiotic fiber lack in the diet. How many people are deficient? Mostly everyone. Those who have a good diet, eat a lot of phyto, like a lot of salads and so to say, in simple words, and porridges, and they might be lacking like half of the prebiotic fibers. And those who are eating pizzas and pastas and modern food, they will be lacking like 90% of the prebiotic fibers in their diet. So the lack is drastic, is dramatic, and it needs to be addressed. So this is the way to do that. Let's go further. Now, vitamins, trace elements, antioxidants, and phytoelements. Phyto means that comes from everything that grows on the ground or under the water. So those Extend Plus is what does that plus mean on the product? Plus means that all the ingredients, including the excipients. What does that mean, excipients? Excipients is it could be ingredients in a capsule. So the capsule would be the excipient. It's not an active ingredient. It's just something that also needs to be there because we somehow need to pack the active ingredients. Extend Plus doesn't have ingredients that glue the micronutrients. So if you open the capsule, you pour it out, it's only the active ingredients there. So we need to pack them somehow. So we need a capsule. Now, capsule is an excipient. Now, this capsule, when the product has a plus on it, means that even the capsule is natural. Nothing is synthetic. Not even one single molecule in that product is synthetic, including the capsule, including the everything what's in there. That's a unique, because if you look into other products on the market, you will see that most of the products that claim to be all natural, they are not, because they are all natural in active ingredients, but they are synthetic in the excipients. So that's something to notice. But, well, for some people, that's extremely important to have all natural, and we usually do that. When it's possible, we create a product with all natural ingredients, but we also have Extend without plus. Now, my personal opinion that it doesn't differ that much. Well, there are discussions about, is it better to take Extend or better to take Extend Plus? Well, Extend Plus will have a little less of the active ingredients because it's a bit more difficult to produce a product that has only natural ingredients. Extend has a little bit of a synthetic ingredients. And for those who care about that, you should take Extend Plus. If you don't care about that much, and maybe you care about the price more, then you can take Extend. Now, Extend covers most of the deficiencies of many nutrients, key nutrients like microelements, trace elements, phytonutrients, and vitamins. It's based on the newest studies what we are deficient of, and that's how the product is created. So I prefer to take this product than any other product on the market of multivitamins or multi-nutrients. Well, if you're a specialist, you can check the ingredient list and then you will see why. Now, the next thing is what we call health protocol kit. Now, health protocol kit is when we are talking about balance product, any of the balance products, xenobiotic, that's a prebiotic fiber, and extend, the micronutrients. If you take all three, we say that you are on a health protocol, which means that you are covering the biggest deficiencies of your food, the biggest problems of your food deficiencies are covered. Now, let's go to the next one. So number 5, that's promotion of apoptosis and senescent cell death and activation of stem cells. Now, some of you may say, what the heck is this? So apoptosis is all the cells in your body, or most of the cells in your body, have a pre-programmed time of death. They have to be born, then to do their functions, and then when they become old, they die and other cells replace them. Those other cells are called stem cells. So stem cells is like embryonic cells. They are not differentiated into one or another organ cell, like to a liver cell or to a muscle cell or a skin cell. And they live in bone marrow. Now, so the senescent cells are those who had to die, but we start having errors over time. So if your age is over 25, over 30, sometimes we say over 40, then your body starts accumulating those senescent cells that had to die, but they didn't. And now they start to be clogging your system. They eat your food, they don't function as the cell of a particular organ. They don't produce function, but they are excreting the ingredients that you don't need. So they are basically, some people say, zombie cells. They are dysfunctional cells that have to be washed out of the system. In other words, you can say like this: if you go through a corridor and you need to pass the door, just imagine that's the process in your body. And this process comes and the door is blocked by 30 people standing there. That's what happens in the body. The process in your body has difficulty to make happen because there's senescent cells and they're clogging the way. So if it's only 30 people, maybe you can cross by them and still get through the door. But if it's 100, then the process may stop completely. So that's what is going on in our bodies. So Xenogene is the product that has enough ingredients to push those senescent cells to apoptosis. So they die. They are dying and washed out of the system by immune cells. And another group of ingredients in Xenogene is releasing stem cells from your bone marrow. So this is how you renew your body. For that reason, you need to take 4 capsules at the same time, not 2 and 2, not 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, but 4 at once. And do that for complete 2 weeks. So every day, 4 capsules at once, let's say in the morning. Next day, again, at the same time, 4 capsules, next day, and that's how you do it for a couple of weeks. This is how you cleanse your system from the senescent cells. And the ingredient group that releases stem cells from the bone marrow, that ingredient group is also not letting to form plaque on your teeth, which is also a desirable effect, because you may clean your teeth a bit less and you have shiny teeth and you have less plaque, and you don't need to go and see the dentist that often to clean your plaque from the teeth. That's what I do with only 1 capsule per day. So 1 capsule per day will give you that effect. Now, nootropic effect. That's a regulation of brain neurotransmitters. And we have Viva, Shafran, which improves the mood, which helps you sleep better if that's desired in your case, and it regulates your brain function. It helps you go through exams easier. It helps you feel less stressed if the situation is stressful in your life. It helps you feel more rested and performing better in your brain. Now, the number 7 group is the protection and improving of your immune system activity, immune system function. Now, innate immune system, that means that it's not adaptive. It's not that remembers certain diseases. It's the first barrier to kill the bacteria and viruses and anything that happens wrong in our body. Now, in this product, we have beta glucans that assist those innate, the inborn immune system in killing the pathogens. So that's why we use this product. Sometimes we give it to kids before they go to a gathering of kids where a lot of kids may be sick, and then they can transfer the disease to our kid. Or if we feel that we are gonna get sick tomorrow, sometimes we feel it in the evening, we take 2 capsules or 3 capsules of Protect. And if you are gonna undergo a surgery, then you can take for 3-4 days before and after the Protect so that it goes better without infections. And in many other cases, we use Protect or preventatively every day, just 1 or 2 capsules. Now, another, number 8, is weight control. And I'm aware here, Danny, of the time. I will be finishing soon. So weight control, there's lean shakes. They have very little carbohydrates and a lot of other ingredients. I call it astronauts food. That's the smallest amount, smallest weight of the biggest nutritional value cocktail. So I'm using lean shake every single day, at least 1 pack, not for weight control or reduction. I don't need that. I do a lot of sport, but I use it just as one of the meals because I believe that I may not get enough of all the ingredients from other meals that I have during the day. So that's why I do that. Number 9 is Xenoshine. That's a vitamin D3. And most of the people are deficient. So it's better to fix that. And you can test it and then include Xenoshine in everyday diet. And finally, number 10 is skincare. So on top of all what we talked about, there is skin serum, which is amazing. It's the best of the best in class that I've ever seen on this planet. And it can be used even on wounds, or even if your kid has an ear inflammation, you can take some serum and put it into the air, and most probably you will not need any medication. So you can try that, especially if you don't have that medication. If it's during the night and you don't want to call, the ambulance or so you can test that. Or if you're diving and you need better protection of your ears. So, and it improves the skin quality. And we also have Hans and Heidi products that come from Switzerland, the highest quality skincare products. So, and I promised Danny to finish here on time. So just one more time, all 10 categories of products here. If you want to make a print screen, you're very welcome. And that's what we are inviting to do, to shape the future of nutrition and healthy skin together. So inspire change in life, that's our slogan. And with that, I'm finishing here today. And thank you for participating. Thank you for being so attentive. And see you next time.